Hey. So, another voice note. I feel more comfortable these days just speaking spontaneously with some ideas of what I would like to express, but not too concrete, not too much that I can rewrite or rethink or redo. It's just more like closing my eyes, picking up the phone, and just start recording. So, we have a full moon today, 2 degrees. Sagittarius, and so the sun is at 2 degrees of Gemini, and Gemini is going to be a very big deal this year. We have Jupiter and Venus today making a conjunction at 29 degrees of Taurus. Jupiter was meeting Uranus on April 20th, and Jupiter has given us the possibility in the last year to really revalue or revise or have a new perspective on what we really feel that is essential in our lives, whether it's resources, talents, money, or how we relate to the idea of value, how we relate to our idea of self-worth. And, many of you know that I've done a very deep dive into this field, and I have slowly realized that this is the main thing in my life. Having 3 planets in Taurus and having Chiron in my second house, which is my vulnerable point, has come to my deep attention that the way I am synthesizing this, because I have Jupiter in Taurus, it's where it is right now, it's about really embodying the idea of truth in the material. So my spirit is free, but I am here in this body, and I am synthesizing the experience on a breath-to-breath circumstance. So it's every moment it's a new opportunity for me to synthesize. So and that happens for everybody. So the interesting thing is that my Jupiter in Taurus is on the 3rd house, so it has a Gemini quality, and we're going to enter right now into Jupiter in Gemini. But as I was saying before, it is in conjunction with Venus, and Venus has the Taurus quality. So today is a big deal in the sense of like we're going to have a new relationship of these 2 planets together. They meet every year, but it is a nice, the last degree, 29 degrees, is like very critical. It is a revision about what I consider the social constructs that we have had, the way we were raised, the way we were taught to think, the way culture shape our brain, shape our mind, shape our behavior. The word cult comes from culture, and it is really important to understand like who are we listening to, what ideologies are we allowing to permeate our environment, and then we embody them. In Taurus we're making it this very material, very physical act of taking these ideologies and thoughts and ways of thinking, philosophy, into practice. And so if we've been listening to certain things, certain views, and we embody those views and then we become that, we shouldn't be surprised at the things that are happening in our lives. We're not victims of things that happen to us. We make choices. There's no such a thing as luck. Whether you make a good or a bad decision, that's something that you should know, because that's why we have consciousness. So this idea of Jupiter going into Gemini for me is very interesting, because it's a very great opportunity to synthesize ideas, to get curious about something and then go all the way to understand what the meaning of it. So one of the things that I decided to do was to re-listen to John Vervaeke's The Awakening of the Meaning Crisis. It was a series of 50 hours that he put online for free on YouTube, and there is a marvelous way of understanding how the brain works, how our mind works. He's a cognitive scientist and from the University of Toronto, and a great teacher. Educators right now are my thing. Education for me is my thing, because without education we remain ignorant. And Jupiter is also related to knowledge, and knowledge can be achieve once you have had an experience. Otherwise, it's just pure information or data, as it were. So yeah, the whole thing today is that I have been revaluing, again, value, Venus there, a lot of ideologies and thoughts and philosophies that I was abiding by. I was like resonating with. But now that I'm in a different place, I'm like, whoa, this is not the way I thought, or this where I no longer feel connected to these ideologies, or I no longer feel connected to this truth, because I have done different things at this moment. And it's not about defining myself as a different person or defining the others as different. It's just like understanding that there are so many different perspectives. And that, for me, it's a way to evolution. Now, I also feel that with all social media and getting information online, it's a relationship that is very tricky, because what we see it dimensional. It's only like 2 dimensions. We don't really see the 360 degrees. So for instance, if you are following certain people that are saying certain things, and so you start building this projection of the idea of how you feel that you relate to this information or this person. So you start probably idealizing these ideologies, ideologies, idol. You start projecting an idea in such a way that is expanded, and it goes so far away from the truth and reality. So it is important sometimes to revise and make all those idols human, bring them back down to earth, understand that they also are people and they have their failures, and become aware when we judge them, because we're also being judged by others. We're also being misinterpreted. And so choosing the right words, sometimes it's tricky, because we want to be free to express things, but then at the same time, with the landscape that we're living, many people get offended, and they come and they tell you, I don't like what you posted, or I don't like your tone, and you gotta like. For me, this is interesting. I get that, not a lot, but I get sufficient things when I post online, the people asking me questions. Why am I saying this, or what do I mean by that? And in a way, those triggers are actually important for me. Not that I want to do things to trigger or provoke things, but I think those triggers are important even when I get them from things that I read or see online. I actually pause and start having a different relationship to it by trying to see it from a different perspective. That's a very Jupiter function. Sagittarius, Jupiter, 9th house is like, I'm going to go to a very different location from where I was born, from what I know, from what I was taught, and try to investigate or do a pilgrimage and try to seek some other truth in another place, in another land, in another language. And when I do that, I may have come back with an experience, and that experience is really what Jupiter is trying to reach. And so it is expansive, is because it's going outside of its own comfort zone to reach out to something that has not been able to be seen, touched, smelled, experienced in a way. And then when it comes back, if it comes back, or when it is transformed by the experience, and that's what makes a life worth of telling stories. So this Jupiter right now, it's going to be telling stories in a very curious way, because in Taurus, it was all about like understanding, where am I standing, where's my ground, how can I ground myself, have I really been in touch with my economical situation, is the world really going to explode because inflation is off the roof, do I really understand what economics really mean? I mean, am I making the right decisions? Am I valuing myself? Is my time so valuable that I'm taking care of saving for the future, so on and so forth? So all these questions right now can be applied into a more like, so I know what my resources are, right? And I know who I am, sort of, with all the energy in areas. And I do value that, and I value my ideas, because that's the Venus with the Jupiter there. now that we're going to go to Gemini, what can we explore? How can we be curious about it? How are we going to wander around and try to connect with a curious mind, open mind, and to new subjects, new ways of thinking, new experiences, so that we can start building something that is more connected to our heart. Because Jupiter will go to Cancer next year. So we're building ourselves. We're building our ideologies, our relationship to the world as we know it. And because there's so many experiences that have happened since, especially the last 4 years since the pandemic. And right now, for instance, reading or listening that a lot of what happened during the pandemic, especially the whatever pharma thing they created to make people believe that it was going to be a cure, it's all a lie, and so many people are dropping dead. So a lot of people are like really in denial. They don't want to see that, because that will shake, and we have to reshape their truth. So sometimes we do something is we go to Neptune and we go like, oh no, I want the whole bottle, I want to get drunk. Or you go to the weed store and you say, I want to get high. Or you do any kind of addiction that you have, and you enter into denial. So denial is just like a way to make things take more time to realize things by not looking at them, but not confronting. But that doesn't change them. The fact that people are dropping dead and you're not aware of that doesn't mean that it's not happening. Now, the moment that you recognize that there was something that it doesn't make sense, making sense is a Jupiter function as well, then you have a different idea of what that means. So your brain is recognizing different languages or different forms of expressing something that you thought it had a shape, but now has a very different shape. And that's what is so beautiful about being able to educate yourself in different subjects, because it really trains your brain and your mind to be open and to always be curious enough to move around, so you can reshape the reality, not according to what other people tell you, especially the news and government. Any government that tells you what to do is not a free society. People are going to not allow you to be you because they want you to behave in a specific way. That's not an open society. That's more like socialism, communism, or whatever you want to call that. I don't want to call things names right now, but it is there, and we're in this crisis right now. It's a very deep crisis of identity. People do not know who they are, and they feel and they think that they have to identify with certain things in order to be, but that's bollocks. That's not true. The truth is, like, you can be anything you want, and it sounds corny and cheesy, but yes, you can be, but you have to put an intention of what kind of life you want to lead. You want to be led, or you want to lead and be the master of your own manifestation of your own being. But for that, my friends, unfortunately, you need to be accountable, you need to be responsible, and you need to make sense. And if you don't make sense because you're not questioning the narrative, then you're just following the herd. And then there's nothing I can do for you, because that means that you're probably not even listening to me, and you're following CNN or whatever names of news, or New York Times and all that, BS propaganda. So I don't want to leave this in a bad note. So I'm going to say a couple of things. So Jupiter, it's going to be affecting affecting one part of your chart. So let's say that Jupiter is a function of synthesizing things. It's like understanding. Imagine a little bit like when you listen to a story and then you listen it as a metaphor, then you probably get to understand it more deeply, because you can associate yourself with the story, whether it's a story of an animal or something that happened historical. You can actually become more connected to it. So Jupiter in Gemini is going to help you synthesize many things depending where it falls in your chart. So if Jupiter is going to be falling on your first house, it's all about synthesizing the idea of self. who am I? And how am I going to come to terms with that idea of the self? Who am I? And what does it mean to say I am? Am I free from other ideologies, or these ideologies are my ideologies? So that's very important. And right now with Mars in Aries and the North Node in Aries, this is a very important moment for the people who have the ascendant in Gemini. So it is all about I am for the next year. Now, if it falls in the second house, then it will be more like, what do I value? What are my real values? And that will be really explicitly focusing on what is essential for you. If you were to leave tomorrow to another planet, what is it that you're going to take? What is it that you value the most? And if you don't know, spend this time this year trying to figure out what is it that most essential things for you. And then you ground yourself with those values and you investigate those values, because that's going to be very helpful for the next 12 years as a new cycle. Now, if it falls in the third house, that's going to be interesting, because it's going to be accelerating your curiosity. So it's about synthesizing your mind, your curiosity, your ideas, the way you connect rationally and logically to this world. So synthesizing is more like an abstract function from the right side of the brain, and Mercury, third house, Gemini, is more logical. So it is about synthesizing the two kinds of minds. The one that is in the now and the one that is recollecting images and trying to make sense of the whole thing with pictures, for instance, images rather than words. So that is going to happen if it falls in the third house. If it falls in the fourth house, which is the emotional body, that's an interesting thing as well, because you'll have time and you will make space to synthesize with what is actually happening in your emotional body and trying to make sense of that. So any trauma related to ancestral things that comes in your house via your mom or your dad, your grandparents, or your homeland, it will be very interesting to see how do you relate to that. How do you relate to those things that make you feel safe, emotionally safe with yourself and others? So that will be kind of a synthesis of what's happening. I had that in the last year or so, since Jupiter entered my fourth house. So my mom passed away, and she's represented by Cancer, so it's a nurturing energy. And so I had to come to sense and make sense of what it means to be a grown-up with no longer having my mother, and also understanding her pure love and eternal love is always with me. So it has been a beautiful rediscovery of the love I have for my mother and everything that she did in order to make us be who we are, with all her faults, with all her things that she failed. She always, and I know that, tried her very best. So I love you, mommy. Jupiter in the fifth house, very creative. This is where it's going to be for me, because it's moving to the fifth house very soon. So fifth house is about validation, creativity, self-expression, joy, play. It's like very artistic. So my plans are to keep on expanding in that way. I'm an artist and have many projects that are getting ready to be exposed in the world, including my book. And so I'm ready to also become, because Jupiter is also the teacher. It's the person that has so much knowledge because he's been around. So I'm ready to give value to the things that I have recollected, so I can bring them to the world by doing different things that I do, study groups or even this random notes that I write sometimes, or I just speak up like right now. So Jupiter in the fifth house, it's going to be a bombastic year with creativity exploding in so many beautiful ways. And if you had like some insights in the last month and a half with the eclipses and the conjunction with Uranus, you might have had already like some insights about what you can do in the future that is revolutionary for yourself. It can be technological advance, or it could be technology is also skill, so it could be a new skill that you have thought of that you could use it to express yourself, and it could be grounding in the material level as well. So that's what I feel is good. It could happen. If it falls in the 6th house, it's all about understanding your connection to your routines, to your work, the work ethic, and also how you can discern elements in your life. So it's all about the sense of service, about discernment, and how the sense of service is going to be meaningful for you, because Jupiter is going to give meaning to how you serve humanity, how you relate to your rituals every day, your habits, your body, your hygiene, how you relate to even the way you think. Are you thinking a lot of BS? Are you letting your mind be polluted with too much trash, or are you making sure that you select very well what's in your mind? So that's what I feel that Jupiter can do there in the 6th house. If it falls in the 7th house, so Jupiter is going to give you the opportunity to have different ways of relating to others, and that's a fun thing to do, because you could actually take different points of view and test out, like with curiosity. Oh, this is the way this person sees this thing. How interesting. Oh, this is the way that is seen from here. Oh my God, this is so interesting. And then the synthesis occurs when you realize that if you stick too much to a way of thinking and you become so radical about it, what you're missing out is different points of view. Now, if you only stay like switching from points of view, maybe you can fall into not having your own way. So there is a balance and harmony that is needed when it's in the 7th house. And it's a question about what is it that I need? Do I have what it takes? And then do I have the leverage to be able to relate to other people's views? And then can we have a dialogue? Can something interesting emerge from this dialogue? So this is what Jupiter in the 7th house is going to synthesize, is the emergence of other people's points of view or other society points of view. And are those points of view something of my interest that I can synthesize and integrate in my life? Yeah, perhaps. Why not? Jupiter in the 8th house. Oh, this is fun. Let's go dive into the psyche. Let's go dive and try to find out, how does the world, functions? How do I connect to my deepest sense of self, like the darkness? And how am I going to confront all those fears by looking at them in the face and just seeing that probably they're just ideas. And maybe those ideas are filling my ideologies with fear. So can I confront them with tenderness and just in curiosity, and even be surprised by what I find? Because maybe what I find in the depth of the darkness it's something that I've been looking for. So it's a beautiful way to integrate your deepest fears, and including death. Because death at the very end is the fear that we have of transcendence and not understanding and accept that everything is a cycle. So we want to hold on to things and be very possessive about it, and we are immovable. Yeah, we don't want to move. That creates a lot of pain and resistance. So the whole idea is to confront that fear and let it go and become one with it, and then let it flow, and then be transformed by the whole fear. That's the whole point with the 8th house Scorpio. Allow yourself to be transformed by life. So you become one with death and one with life. Jupiter in the 9th house. So that's a very comfortable place to be, because the 9th house is ruled by Jupiter or Sagittarius. So here is all about really, really getting on that horse again, or that motorcycle, and by yourself try to reach out different lands or different ideologies and just really question with curiosity your upbringing. What are the ideologies that you think that they shape you and you are right now, and how many of them can they completely be rethought? It's another opportunity to kind of like erase the hard drive and or put some things in storage and then allow some space for new to come. So be curious about that. Jupiter in the 10th house. So this is interesting. This is all about maturity and authority and becoming accountable and growing up. So what kind of thinking you think or you feel is going to give you the opportunity for you to become a more accountable and more self-responsible for your life? Because if you're still waiting for, again, government or I don't know, any kind of authority to take care of you, you're going to be on the side where you have no power, and you have no say. So this is very interesting. It's about questioning and being curious about all kinds of institutions that you have given your authority, you've given your power to, and they're probably not taking the best decisions for you long term. So this is about becoming responsible about the things you don't want to be responsible about. But then see it from another perspective and see if actually they could be probably very good decisions, and then you've already made good choices, but why not revise them and look at them from different perspective? Maybe they need a little bit of a tweak, maybe they need an upgrade or even a downgrade. So it's up to that. Jupiter in the 11th house. So this one is interesting because it's all about, 11th house is about peers, it's about groups, it's about the future, but also about trauma. And I've been really lately wanting to write more about trauma, because I see that when we idealize things, ideologies, we tend to think that that's the solution for the future, and we stay stuck with the solution as opposed to be embodying and be challenged by it day by day. So nothing can get fixed with an idea. Nothing is fixed with just an ideology. That's BS. What I feel that is important is like with Jupiter in the 11th house is to give oneself the opportunity to explore other ways of healing and integrating and synthesizing what trauma could have been. It could be that you feel that probably you were never connected to all the kinds of people. So it's interesting. It's like it is through the people and the peer groups that you could probably have a challenge to see things in a different way and perhaps get integration about things that were painful to you, and that now they can be integrated and come to terms. Jupiter in the 12th house. So this is an interesting place as well, because it's all about dissolving the past, forgiving the past, really allowing to surrender to whatever pain and injustice and everything. And it's not about forgetting, it's about accepting and surrendering. You can still remember it, but the way you're going to remember is a very different view. It's like you're going to remember, oh, that happened to me, instead of saying like, oh, I hate it, whatever. You're just going to go, oh, this is the way it feels right now. It feels, it is painful, or it doesn't hurt as much, and you become aware of it. And then, so the pain or the hurt dissolves and it is forgiven. It's not forgotten. So that's the whole round. There's more, obviously, but I'm not going to go that here. I think that I've been speaking for a long time. My eyes are closed, so I'm just like channeling. Just going to open them very slightly to see the chart. Yeah, another thing that I see that is very beautiful with this full moon is that Mars is in the middle of the North Node and Chiron in Aries. So it's really strengthening a lot the courage that is needed to actually stand on your own 2 feet and say, I am. It's a very powerful. Neptune is 29 degrees Pisces, so we know that we're at that critical degree of the last bit of the whole cycle. That's the ruling planet. It's like, my question to you guys is like, how much of what you see outside of your eyes you think is true, and how much of it is an illusion. So how much of the matrix have you been able to figure it out? It's a personal question with a personal answer, and it is something that you will have to ask yourselves. Are you living in your truth, or are you just being part of a bigger plan where you have no say and you're not free? So freedom comes in many ways. Freedom comes financially, emotionally, spiritually, legally, and did I say emotionally? Yeah, I did say all that. And physically, you can also be trapped in your body, you can be trapped in your mind, you can be trapped in your emotions, you can be trapped with no money, and you can be trapped legally, just surrendering all your rights to a fake government. So anyway, I wish you all a beautiful week. I'll come back to writing, perhaps, I don't know, and to share other insights. I'm still working on some projects, still trying to make sense of this world and not trusting everything that I see until I don't do my own research and I don't embody it by myself. So enjoy what's coming. I have a lot of hope, and I am an optimist after all. Bye-bye. 31 minutes. Oh my goodness. Bye-bye.